Hello, and welcome to episode 46 of Expertise is Overrated, the podcast that takes the time to answer the questions you didn't know you didn't want the answer to. I'm Vib.
And I'm Sean, and neither of us has any clue what we're talking about.
Indeed.
Except we successfully launched season 2 of a podcast. Woo,
Yay!
go us!
Yay! Editor, cue some celebratory noises. Yeah. That's not going to happen,
That's
is it?
not going to happen.
No. Although we are back to editing all our episodes, which is good.
Yeah, I think it landed today and nothing exploded, so I think we can be happy.
Yeah, we've even got quality control. We
have quality control. We have like a Trello, which I think makes us a professional project.
I think that makes us purely professional. Yeah. I
was
saying that I never actually double checked if I uploaded the right episode onto the website, but no one's complained so far. So
I've downloaded what I think is the right episode, so we'll see whenever I get a chance to listen to it.
If you shout at me later, I'll know.
It'd be very funny. But anyway,
the other reason you're going to shout at me later is your newfound drinking problem.
It's not a newfound drinking problem.
It's over a season old. Your drinking problem. I'm starting to think that I've caused problem.
This.
Well, you seem to be incapable of talking to me without having a glass of whiskey in your hand.
That's not a drinking problem. That's a you problem. That's a my
yeah, but
problem.
That's what I'm saying. I am your drinking problem. Apparently.
No,
I don't know how I feel about this.
My real drinking problem is that I'm running low.
That is genuinely a problem, yeah.
I need to top up my stash. I only have 4 varieties to pick from.
Only oh my goodness. Call yourself a Scot.
It's really upsetting.
That is shocking. I've only actually got one bottle of whiskey at the moment. It's really sad.
That's really upsetting. I'm tempted to ask you what it is, but I think there are so few answers that wouldn't make me more sad. I think we need to move on.
Yeah. Well, this is part of the problem. Is I got it for when I finished my PhD, so it's quite old. I've had it for a long time. And yeah, it's a distillery that I don't think exists anymore. Or rather, a label that doesn't exist anymore. So I'm pretty sure the distillery still exists.
That's risky because you don't want to
exactly.
waste that.
Exactly. It could be one of those that becomes, thousands of pounds for a bottle, which seems unlikely.
You've opened it and had some though.
Not at all.
It's not. It's unopened.
It's unopened. Mint condition whiskey.
Oh, all right. Never mind our other plans to make millions. This is our plan to make millions.
Yeah, this is my millions. You're not going to get any of that.
Yeah, no, I don't have any claim to that one. Anyway, we need to move on.
Yes. 1 hour later, all we did was talk about whiskey. We should definitely do a whiskey episode. Let's be real.
We should do a whiskey
That'd
episode.
Be fantastic.
I'm not sure what we talk about. I think I just sit on air and get drunk, but I think that'd be fun. It's not much different.
I'm sure that there's people out there who would want to listen to that. It might make us both more rational somehow.
That doesn't sound likely.
Anyway, we are not talking about whiskey today. We are talking about heroes, I guess.
We are.
It's the second time we've sort of covered this style of question.
Are we turning this into a segment? Another sort of episode style, do we think?
Well, possibly. I mean, we're getting dangerously close to a question that you, ahead of recording, said, I don't want to talk about this.
No, we're not going to peel beneath the curtains, I don't think. We're not going to ask, what is a hero? Because I haven't yet read Hero of a Thousand Faces, and I feel like I need to read that in order to answer that question. But anyway.
The question of who is the hero of, so we've covered it before in terms of A Song of Ice and Fire.
We have.
So maybe there is a series there.
I mean, there's allegedly a hero in every fantasy story, I think.
That's sort of what we're meant to believe, right?
Yeah. And so, if that's true, and given fantasy is our bread and butter, maybe we should be asking who is the hero of.
Maybe we should.
Let us know in the comments. Give us a tweet. Let us know if you would be interested in this for other fantasy series, and if so, which ones.
Yeah, who's the hero of? Insert your series of choice.
I'm thinking there's a Star Wars episode here where we.
I literally just thought about that as well. But space opera. I mean, yeah, I don't know.
Star Wars is fantasy in space. Doesn't matter. Just don't think about it. Last time didn't go very well, though, did it? Well, it
Well,
depends on your definition of going well, I suppose.
It did. I mean, you made some stupid suggestions, and I made suggestions that just didn't really answer the question.
Yeah. So I suggested that it was Brandon Stark, which I think is backed by evidence and fan theory, but apparently that's
all right, flat earther.
And you suggested it was
all of the Starks because I don't want to commit,
including Bran. So we were in agreement that it was Bran.
Yeah, all right. But yeah, go and listen to that episode. I think it's a very good one, episode 5.
Yes, it was good fun to record.
We might have still had really crap mics back then.
I can't remember what the turning point was. I think it was after episode 5. So for anyone who didn't encounter us then, and is going back to listen to that episode, I am sorry.
Yeah, but we were funny back then, so at least you got that.
Yeah, we at least weren't taking ourselves quite as seriously as we do now.
I know, yeah, it's all got to our heads, really, hasn't it?
Thinking with such hubris that we can tackle this topic. Who is the hero of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings anthology?
Yes. In many ways, answering the question, who is the Lord of the Rings?
Who is the Lord of the Rings? That's, I feel, a different question. Can we keep to just one question, please?
Oh, no, I don't have the attention span for that sort of thing.
Okay. So, I don't think at this point we're talking about the Silmarillion or the Hobbit, although they may be illustrative.
I think they're illustrative because the Silmarillion, I think, you'd be very hard-pressed to pick a hero because it's just such a meandering series of...
It encompasses 25,000 years or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Not just one hero.
It really is kind of lengthy. In many ways, it's the Old Testament to the Lord of the Rings' New Testament. The Hobbit, I guess the obvious answer there feels like Bilbo.
Yeah, but is it actually Thorin?
Or Gandalf, indeed.
Or Gandalf.
And I'm sure Gandalf will become an interesting one because...
Or Bard?
Or Bard. Yeah, and this exemplifies the problem, right? Is that there are many characters to choose from who do heroic deeds anyway. I mean, certainly in Tolkien.
And The Hobbit is about 200 pages long, maybe, at a push.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the real hero of The Hobbit is obviously Elrond, because without Elrond, they
don't leave.
They don't leave and don't open the door. So
isn't Elrond just a glorified key? He's like
pretty much. Yeah.
He's like the first key in your Legend of Zelda quest.
He is. Through all the blue doors. But in a story where you only need one key to accomplish the mission, it feels like he's pretty important.
It's true. It's very true.
So following that logic on, then, I'll start us off with a shout for hero of Lord of the Rings, which is Elrond. The Council of Elrond, so named because he's the one who forms the Fellowship. He's the one who ultimately ends up getting the ring destroyed.
I'm not having that.
Can we agree at least that the hero of Lord of the Rings is the main driver of good overcoming bad, right? So are we starting off from the same premise that the people who are on the side of the ring, i.e. Sauron, Saruman, Ugluk, Lurtz, whoever you want to include in that ring of random characters.
I think the hero, although we can probably come back to talk about Sauron and Saruman with a sort of slightly more modern lens, certainly at the time of writing, the hero has to come from the so-called free peoples.
Yeah. I think that's right. I don't think you could call Sauron the hero. He's almost not even the main antagonist in many ways, but that's a different story as well.
No. Certainly it was not written with the aim of Sauron or Saruman being the hero, and I think in order to make the case that they are, you'd have to just basically be being an idiot. Like, I think both of us could make a case for it, but we'd be doing so purely for the sake of entertainment rather
Well,
than
we have a
because we
special
genuinely
gift for
believed
being
it.
idiots.
Yeah.
We do. Okay, so fine. We'll put a pin in those as just academic exercises of idiocy.
Yeah. We may come back to that though, because we might get bored being serious.
Exactly. Well,
I think
that
okay,
implies that the answer is very easy to this question.
so I think you said Elrond as the sort of plot instigator.
Yeah. Let's try to dismiss Elrond. I mean, I in my heart of hearts, I don't think it is Elrond.
So
As
I
much of an
think
elven fanboy as I am.
I don't think that you can say Elrond because I don't think that he's a plot mover. He's almost a plot creator. He's the call to adventure, essentially. He's the instigating event that forms the fellowship and drives the plot. But
To an extent, yeah, he's just a
without
quest giver.
him, he's the quest giver. Exactly.
He's the guy with the big exclamation mark above his head.
That's exactly right. And without him, I agree, there is no destruction of the ring. But you could also say that without Farmer Maggot, there is no destruction of the ring. Farmer Maggot's not on our list. God. Without
Yes, audience, idiots. As I said, well, one idiot anyway.
there are so many people for whom without them there is no tale. There's no destruction of the ring. I don't think that can be your sole criteria. And other than form the fellowship and point them in the direction of Mount Doom, Elrond doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. I mean, even if we take the film plot line, where I guess he's the one who brings Aragorn the sword at the right time. Yeah, it's just a hard case to make, isn't it?
But in the books, he doesn't do that because he gave Aragorn the sword as they leave Rivendell.
Exactly, which makes so much more sense.
Yeah, but it's Aragorn is different. Aragorn doesn't want the sword.
Yeah,
when he leaves.
I mean, Aragorn, I'm sure we will definitely come back to. But you, so I guess we mentioned the Fellowship. Your first book is also called The Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah.
So should we, true to my style, consider the Fellowship as a whole the heroes of the Lord of the Rings epic?
But the Fellowship don't even make it to the end of their own book intact. The Fellowship breaks before the end of Fellowship.
I mean, the Fellowship only breaks when the ring bearers board their respective vessels, with one exception being Boromir.
No, but the Fellowship breaks the first chapter of the Two Towers, I think, or the last chapter of Fellowship of the Ring is called The Breaking of the Fellowship.
Yeah, but
the Fellowship as an entity does not survive the first book, so I don't think it can possibly be the hero. You could make a case, perhaps, that all of the constituent elements of the Fellowship together are the heroes, but I don't think the Fellowship as an entity can be considered. And that might be a distinction that only matters to me.
I don't know. I guess I'm just going by Gandalf's quote. But it just depends on if that's a lowercase f or a capital F.
You remind me exactly what quote.
So, as Gandalf bids the hobbits goodbye, he goes, "Well, here at last, dear friends, on the shores of the sea comes the end of our fellowship in Middle-earth."
Yes,
it's a line that you know, the I will not say, "Do not weep, for not all tears are an evil," which is a line that Ian McKellen delivers so beautifully.
I know the line now. Just to check, you're sure that's not a Dumbledore quote?
No. That's only one of us makes that kind of mistake, and it is not me.
No, it's not.
That is a Gandalf quote written by J.R.R. Tolkien.
The issue with saying it's the Fellowship is it's a cop-out because everyone that we're possibly considering, I would say, is in the Fellowship. So it almost doesn't engage with the question, say, oh yeah, it's just the Fellowship. So,
well, yeah, but so I guess this is where an academic argument would ensue in terms of does a story need a singular hero? But I appreciate that's a slightly different argument. But I also don't think saying the Fellowship is in fact the hero of Lord of the Rings makes sense. Actually,
I don't. I don't think it does, because I think there are too many people in the Fellowship who are definitely not the hero.
I think that's right. Like the
Specifically
Sams
to.
and the Marys and the Pippins, for example.
Ooh, you've come out swinging it entirely the wrong targets there.
Or the Frodos, for that matter.
I was going to say the Legolasses and the Gimlis.
Well, quite the opposite, right? Because Legolas and Gimli actually show progress in Middle Earth, such as we've not seen in
By
many years.
being busy mates.
Exactly.
That's true, they do. But I don't think their arcs are directly tied to the core plot. Like,
and their arc is literally just we weren't friends before because we were dwarf and elf, and now we're friends.
Yeah, it's not a big arc, is it?
Because Gimli killed one more Uruk-hai than Legolas.
Legolas is like, oh,
mad respect.
okay. I don't think that we can say the Fellowship, because there's too many question marks around too many members of the Fellowship.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them are main characters that play their parts without too much sort of embellishment, shall we say?
That's true. They do.
So there are a few within the Fellowship that we could make a case for. I think I would discount Legolas and Gimli if you agree.
I think that's fine. I think they are quite aggressively supporting characters throughout all three books.
Yeah, they're the token dwarf and elf.
Yeah, they're serving an important function of broadening out the world, but they're not. They can't possibly be considered main characters, even in the stories in which they heavily feature.
Yeah. So we can get rid of them. The one I'd discount as well is Boromir.
So I was about to say, I think it's quite interesting that neither of us pointed out Boromir as an obviously not the hero. Now, I don't think he's the hero of the Lord of the Rings as a trilogy, but can you make the case that he's the hero of Fellowship specifically?
Okay, walk me through it.
So
I'm instinctively going to say no.
I think I'm instinctively going to say no, but if we take the hero's journey to be someone who is, well, the problem is he's not reluctant at the start, but someone who receives and answers the call to adventure, is faced by adversity, is initially essentially knocked down by that adversity, but finally rises to overcome it, and in so doing is transformed by his overcoming of the adversity. Is that not Boromir in Fellowship?
No, I don't think it is.
You don't think it is?
No, because I think he only overcomes his adversity insofar as he realizes he has to play no more part in it. And J.R.R. Tolkien helps him along in that quest by killing him.
Okay, that's an interesting way of looking at it.
Because I think if you don't kill Boromir, he doesn't overcome his thing long term. He's not a Faramir fundamentally.
No, he's not.
I think Boromir really exemplifies the sort of psyche of man that Tolkien is trying to show us, or your quote unquote common man, which I know sounds ridiculous in the context of Boromir, but I sort of stand by it. In that there is conflict and there's strife, and there's moments of there's real nadirs and real zeniths. I think that's Boromir.
But isn't the point of Boromir to show us that to be human is that struggle?
Yes.
And nobility is embracing the zeniths and fighting the nadirs, rather than being constantly at the zenith.
No, I think that is absolutely right, but I think that's why Boromir has to die. Or you have to continue this constant
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that he has to die. I think that's the sort of fundamental capstone of his journey, is his self-sacrifice for essentially two little idiots from bumfuck nowhere.
But
But
I think his experience. I mean, the obvious sort of character it colours directly is his brother Faramir. But I guess his experience is also meant to make us look at Aragorn in a certain way. Now, again, that's something they really sort of amp up in the films more so than in the books by a long shot. But this sort of suggestion of, well, Aragorn we know is the king. We know a lot is going to depend on him.
yeah,
Look at him through the same eyes as you would look at a Boromir, and realize that he has those same struggles, given that he is a man. You know, even though he's got much more Numenorian blood than the line of stewards.
true.
And I think that's the role Boromir plays. So I wouldn't be able to call him a hero, considering I think he just serves as a contextualizer for Aragorn.
You know, I think that might be the most intelligent thing you've ever said.
Wow. Well, thank you for listening, everyone. I think we can end it there. My career is over.
Way to damn you with faint praise, but because it wasn't a high barrier to get over. But no, I think I don't really have a compelling argument against that. I think Boromir's journey is one of self-reflection and self-discovery through which he is transformed. And I think that Boromir at the end of Fellowship has overcome his internal demons, essentially. He's at peace with himself, which is fundamentally his issue throughout Fellowship up till that point. But I don't know what happens if he survives Fellowship. I don't know whether he's permanently changed or if that change is a process through which he will constantly be going.
And I think that's almost the beauty of it, right? You get to make up your own mind.
Yeah. And the point is, at the moment of his death, he was redeemed.
Yes. I mean, if you were to use the word who is heroic in Fellowship,
yes,
I mean, Boromir takes that any day.
Oh yeah, because he gets to make the heroic sacrifice. And that sort of build from his low point to his high point, it happens so quickly. You know, he goes from trying to take the ring from Frodo to sacrificing his life for Merry and Pippin over the course of, 6 pages? It's incredible.
It is incredibly fast, yeah, but it's a real sort of snapping out of madness moment, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess the concern is if it's that easy to snap out of, is it that easy to snap back into? What happens when he next sees Frodo?
Yeah.
I guess is the challenge, isn't it? So,
and incidentally, that I will go on to make a case. So I've made a case, I guess, for Boromir portraying Aragorn as the hero.
Yeah.
But I think Frodo's role in making Boromir see the light, I think gives Frodo a really good shout there as well. But they're the obvious ones, so we'd obviously leave them to the end. So you have to keep listening.
Aragorn and Frodo.
Aragorn and Frodo. Anyway, I'm just going to put them out there as being the key ones.
I think they're the big debate. So it's not Boromir, it's not Legolas, it's not Gimli.
That leaves 4 hobbits, a man, and an angel.
Gandalf is. Should we do Gandalf next?
Oh, I don't want to do Gandalf. He's so complicated. Because in many ways, he's the sort of... He's like the Skywalker in the Skywalker saga, right? He sort of holds the whole thing together from the Hobbit onwards.
Is he, though?
But he's not a hero necessarily. Well, yeah, but actually, that's who I mean. Not the Skywalker in the Skywalker saga, the Kenobi of the Skywalker saga.
Yeah, I think he's Ben Kenobi.
But Ben Kenobi is the hero of Star Wars, but that's a different debate.
Oh fuck! I hate that you might be right about that. You're doing well this evening. I'm impressed.
It's just the whiskey that's making it sound like that.
No, I think you're actually speaking a lot of sense. I think the issue with Gandalf is he doesn't. At no point does he grow personally. I think that's his fundamental. The thing that's fundamentally standing between him and being a hero.
Yeah,
he is not changed by his experience, other than becoming Gandalf the White, which doesn't change his personality.
Exactly. Well, I mean,
It's just a power up.
yeah.
It doesn't change the way he views the world.
He just ultimately is Merlin, right? He is the
Yeah,
guide, the
yeah, I
wise
think that
guide
might be
you
right.
turn to. And he's just a sort of he's the good counterpoint of a Sauron, essentially. You know, when you have angelic beings, as you say, sort of change but don't change over the course of the series. Like Gandalf turning from the grey into the white is a bit like Sauron having a body and they're not having one.
That's exactly right. That is exactly the comparison to make. When you talk about change in the context of the hero's journey, it's almost always internal change. It's overcoming something internal to yourself, and in so doing, learning something about yourself. And Gandalf doesn't do that. Gandalf's change is purely external.
Gandalf doesn't do that, and I agree that I think that I want to see that in a hero. The issue is, right, more so than Elrond by a million miles. If you have no Gandalf, you have nothing.
Sure, but that makes him a plot device. It doesn't make him a hero.
Yeah, but yeah, no, that's a fair distinction, actually.
He's pivotal to the plot. I don't disagree with that, but so's the Millennium Falcon.
I mean, it wouldn't be a million miles from the truth to say that that's the hero of any
Shut
Star
up.
Wars.
You were doing well. Don't ruin it now.
Come on, the Millennium Falcon. Anyway,
I'm
I
not
think
even engaging with that.
yeah, well, Gandalf sort of occupies the same sort of position as the Ring in some ways for me, in terms of absolutely pivotal to the entire story, and there would be zero progression for anyone. But yeah, I think you're right. That doesn't constitute a hero as such.
No, I don't think it does.
So okay, but that's interesting. So are we saying that the thing that mostly makes a character a hero is some sort of progression of character?
I don't think it's necessarily progression of character, because that's going to be a real flaw when we get to Aragorn.
Exactly. As
I think it's about overcoming and being changed by a challenge specifically. And I think that is true of Aragorn. Now, the issue is that Aragorn's change is just that he becomes more and more kingly as the books go on, because he overcomes each challenge and he pits his will against Sauron's right at the very end and wins. Or doesn't lose, I suspect. But I think the point is there, he will have been changed by that experience, but the change is almost, it's not growth, it's just change. If that makes sense.
yeah, it sort of does, but growth is such a funny
I
thing.
know.
It's like how does
I almost,
Frodo grow over the course of the story?
so I think the problem is that analysis, which I think is the Hero of a Thousand Faces analysis, but I'm not certain.
No, of course not. You'd be on the wrong podcast if you were certain.
No, but I believe that's not. And I think the problem is it's a structure that is not fully occupied by any one narrative. But if you squint and look at all narratives that have a heroic archetype within them, that is what spits out. So that's your sort of meta literature definition of a hero, and then you've got to take that definition and apply it to the book that you're reading and squint to make it fit.
Yeah.
Because it's not a perfect definition that works in every circumstance, because that's not a story. The story is how it differs from the definite. But anyway,
Yeah, but it's difficult, right? Because I mean, Boromir is a great example of a character who's got obvious personal development and growth.
yes,
Coming obvious adversity. Aragorn, as you've already pointed out, yeah, he sort of knows what the goal is and he just gets there.
and we should draw a distinction here between book and film Aragorn, because film Aragorn
is obviously
almost perfectly exemplifies that journey. I think more so than any other character in the films. So in terms of the films, I don't see how you can make a case that it's anyone other than Aragorn.
It becomes very difficult. Yeah. I think you've got Aragon and you've got the hobbits as a unit.
Yeah, the hobbits as a collective. Yes, I think that's right.
Yeah, but yeah, in the books he's much more. I know what I have to do. I'm not going to do it.
I am the guy who is going to be King of Gondor. There's never
Exactly.
really any question about it in the way
Yeah.
that Viggo Mortensen has. And to be honest, it's
But
one
the
of the,
issue. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
I was going to say it's one of the changes in the films that I think actually really works because Book Aragorn is a dickhead.
Whoa.
Like he, sorry, that's not quite fair. Although I think I stand by it. He doesn't struggle. He's far too self-assured to be a compelling film character. It works in books because everything is so, especially when we meet him, is from the perspective of the hobbits. So he's this like distant kingly figure. But I think you'd struggle to relate to him on screen in the same way.
Well, now there's an interesting point then. Perspective. So you're saying it's mostly the hobbits who
In
are
in Fellowship, it is.
yeah, who are sort of anchors to reality.
Well, I'm going to go off the deep end here, but the human analogues in the Hobbit, in the Lord of the Rings, are the hobbits. They're not the men. The men are larger than life, supernatural beings. Our anchors and our stepping off points are the hobbits. So the M with a capital M, the sort of the
Yeah,
Aragorns, the
no. Yeah.
Boromirs, the Éomers and Theodens and Denethors. And then when you get to Return of the King, you meet the gate guard, Berithil? No, Baragon?
Baragond, yeah.
Baragon.
Barathor. So many Bara somethings.
Him, the guy who hangs out with Pippin,
Yeah.
and he's more like us. But by that time, Pippin is so changed that he's closer to Pippin. It's very cleverly done.
Well, I mean, and you say it's in Fellowship that there are perspective of the hobbits, but I think it's true throughout. The Two Towers being a little bit of a wobbly one because there's the whole, Legolas, Gimli, and Aragorn chasing the hobbits. So obviously there is no hobbit perspective of that in and of
Yeah,
itself. But otherwise throughout, yeah, we see the sort of Ride of the Rohirrim through Merry's eyes. We see the Siege of Minas Tirith through Pippin's eyes. We obviously see all of Sam and Frodo through Sam and Frodo's eyes.
yeah.
So there is a perspective question regarding the heroes, which probably implies it might well be a hobbit. Yeah. There's you mentioning Éomer and stuff sort of reminded me that we've glossed over poor Theoden to an extent.
Yeah,
Who is certainly another heroic character.
he's a hero. I don't think he's the hero. And this is the other thing, right? There's heroes and heroic characters splattered all over the pages of the
Everywhere,
Lord
yeah.
of the Rings.
Éowyn, Éomer, Theoden, all super heroic characters in this saga.
Exactly. You've got the Grey Company. Basically, every single person in that is a hero. Glorfindel rides against the Nine. That's pretty heroic.
Actually, okay, yeah, episode's over. Glorfindel. We don't even have to talk anymore.
Glorfindel spends the War of the Rings with his feet up in Rivendell.
Yeah, because he knows that Sauron will come to him and will lose. He's like, give the man the ring, and then we'll fight.
Yeah, let's make it fair. You know who we haven't spoken about? Galadriel.
Galadriel. I don't want to go as far as saying irrelevant because that would be wrong.
She's called the chief foe of Sauron in the Third Age.
Yeah, but it's probably because she's just the oldest one that's left.
Yeah,
And, is such a huge source of influence throughout the world that, yes, she's absolutely instrumental. But she's a bit more like a Gandalf. She's sort of, without her, you don't have this world in which you can have the good versus evil fight because it would probably already be evil.
but she is presented with temptation and overcomes it and is changed by it. I pass the test. I will diminish, move into the west, and remain Galadriel. That is a heroic journey in 2 pages.
But that's exactly the issue with it, right?
Yeah.
Is that we meet her, she does that, and then we don't see her
Literally
again.
never
Essentially,
see her again until the last page.
wouldn't that be the ultimate con from Tolkien? Is like the actual hero is Galadriel, and it took me 2 pages to write her story.
That would
I'd
be
actually
pretty.
really rate that.
That would be pretty good.
But no,
Yeah,
I think brevity is her main enemy here.
she just doesn't feature enough, and so much of what we're told that she does, we're told in the appendices or like unfinished tales or something.
Yeah, it's like one step removed from saying, "Oh, Manwë is the hero," or even going a step further up and going,
It's
"Eru
Eru.
Iluvatar is the hero."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, no, I
again,
think
you need them, but
I think that's very true. It was just a thought on all these people that we haven't talked about. Galadriel jumped out as someone that we probably should do.
yeah, hero of the first age and second age, maybe.
Yes,
That's
that's
certainly what
probably
Amazon
true.
would like us to believe.
Amazon would like us to believe that she's the hero of the second age, but I'm far too here for Elendil. Anyway, that's a whole other set of
Also for different reasons, isn't it?
problems that we need to discuss at another date.
Yes, I agree. So hobbits versus Aragorn. I guess we should unpack the
Frodo.
hobbits first. Are all
Is it-
hobbits created equal in the world of Lord of the Rings?
No, they're not. They clearly are not. That we're told as much in the pages of The Lord of the Rings that Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin are special because they follow the call to adventure.
Well,
Which is
I'm obviously I'm talking about those 4 within that group of
right.
4 are they all made equal.
Sorry.
I'm not here to suggest that bloody the proud foot or something is on par with Merry.
No, I was building up to that.
Well, people have got places to be.
All right, fine. Is there are I think 3 choices. It's all 4 of them. It's Frodo or it's Sam. I don't think it can exclusively be either Merry or Pippin.
Yeah, but I equally don't think you could make a case for it being just Frodo or Sam. There's just too much of the story that happens outside of them.
Yeah.
Right? If
Yes, but
Aragorn doesn't march the men of the West to the Black Gate, Frodo and Sam cannot accomplish their
but Frodo and Sam still have to get through Eminware, cross the swamp, climb the steps,
of
get through
course,
the
yeah.
cave, overcome the Tar, climb the mountain, and face their ultimate peril at the very end. No one else has to do anything of that sort of spiritual magnitude.
Is that true?
I think it's very, very hard to. I don't know. Maybe it's not. I think I really struggle to sort of put Frodo and Sam to one side that easily.
No, you can't put them to one side. They're obviously critical. I think there isn't a hero of Lord of the Rings, just to give the game away here. I don't think there is one single hero. I don't think there can be with the way that the story is written. Because you got effectively 2 big moving parts.
Really don't want that to be the conclusion.
And the issue with one of the arms, the sort of non-Frodo Sam arm, is that part gets split into 2 or 3 ultimately, right? Where we do have Merry and Pippin going on their own separate adventures and their own character arcs and development, and Aragorn as the sort of, I guess, literal kingpin in that scenario. But it is completely separate, I think, from Frodo and Sam in terms of sort of individual journeys. Not sure I'm making myself particularly clear here, but I think you know what I mean.
I think I'm following you, and frankly, I don't want to make you try and say that again because
I know we've all got better things to do with
that
our
was
lives.
really painful.
I was doing so well, okay, today. You know, there's only so much you can expect from me. You feel free to do some of the heavy lifting yourself.
No, I'm alright. You're doing fine. Is the issue with Frodo that he ultimately fails? If Frodo threw the ring into Mount Doom rather than at the last claiming the ring for his own, would he be the hero?
Now then.
Is it
Yeah.
that simple?
Oh, I don't know. It changes so much about him, though, right? Because it probably means he wouldn't have to depart Middle-earth.
He probably would not, no.
And I guess building on that, I think Frodo not managing it is the only way you can conclude Gollum's story arc. As another example of ultimate failure in overcoming your character flaws.
The difference is Gollum doesn't want to overcome that character flaw. Frodo
Well,
does.
Smeagol does.
Into Smeagol maybe does. Smeagol does. That's true.
And that's just a duality. You know, it's a Gollum versus Smeagol fight that Gollum wins.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. That's very true.
And you know, you need Frodo to bring the ring to Mount Doom, so Gollum can ultimately be the instrument of his own demise.
Get a little push in the back from Arago.
And this is, maybe we need to make a bigger deal of this. The fact that there is a large element of fate in all this, right? Considering that there is a script that was literally sung into existence.
So Tolkien himself wrote that Frodo could never have thrown the ring into the fire. No one could. It's not possible to stand in that place and do that thing because of the nature of the ring and the nature of temptation. So the whole quest was about putting Frodo through his choices, and I guess Sam's choices, into a position where the hand of Eru could move things in such a way that the ring is destroyed.
Yeah. Now, what's interesting about that statement is that we suggesting that even Sam wouldn't have done it.
You see, that's such a good question because Sam overcomes his vision so quickly.
Yeah.
His vision of power is just like, no, I don't want that. Such is his loyalty to Frodo, which I think is why people want Sam to be the hero.
Yeah.
But
it's partly the issue with Sam in some ways.
Sam doesn't struggle with anything.
Exactly. I mean, I think that's doing a bit of a service, but he doesn't ultimately.
He doesn't struggle with anything on a character level. Like he carries heavy things and finds that difficult, but his sole defining character trait is loyalty to Frodo.
Yeah.
And at no point is that loyalty challenged. He's sent away by Frodo. And so
From
in
page
the films,
1, yeah.
He's sent away from Frodo and so goes away. Like his loyalty is unquestioned and unquestioning.
Yeah,
So
they must pay their gardeners some serious money.
Yeah, there's something funny going on there.
Just have a little weed grow side business, maybe. But I think that's the biggest flaw with Sam being the hero, is that he's not challenged. Yeah, I think you're right.
He goes on a literal journey, but I don't think he has a heroic arc.
It's a journey full of hardship, but his hardship is always Frodo ultimately.
Is he he's not changed by his hardship. The Sam that come. No, he's not. He's not changed by his hardship because the sort of he goes back to the Shire and is elected mayor for like 7 times and just marries and has a family and is perfectly happy with his life. And yeah, he misses Frodo and that's very sad. But like Frodo could have died of the flu and Sam would have the same reaction.
It's true. I think the best thing we can say about Sam, which probably applies to Merry and Pippin more so, if anything, but for them, it's a coming of age quest almost.
I think they're more changed.
Maybe, but Sam, I think, sees himself as just a young hobbit in the Shire who just sort of fits in, and then he goes away, comes back, and he's like, "I'm the mayor now."
I'm the
Fucking
mayor now. Yeah, I would quite have
bitches.
I would quite have enjoyed seeing Sam's election campaign against literally anyone else, and Sam's just like, no, I'm the mayor.
Well, exactly, because his closest rivals are probably Merry and Pippin, who just go off to be like
Yeah, like, now
the
we're all
mayors
right.
of their own like regions.
Yeah, Merry becomes
I forget
like
what they're
the
called, but
master of the hill.
something like that. Yeah,
Pippin becomes the old Tuck or something. I don't know.
but yeah, I think Sam just comes back and is like, "Yeah, I'm in charge now."
I'm the mayor now. So that's just really funny to me. It completely recharacterizes Sam as well, which is great. But no, I think that's the biggest reason why it can't be Sam is though he massively suffers for his journey is not one of self-discovery because at no point does he question
No,
who he is.
the flip side, the counter argument to that, and something we haven't actually discussed yet, is that Sam ends up with Bilbo and Frodo's book and writes in it.
Sure.
And so from a sort of the narrator is the hero sort of standpoint, Bilbo being the one in The Hobbit, Frodo then being the one in the main quest of the Lord of the Rings, and then Sam being the sort of overarching narrator. Either or.
Is the narrator the hero, though?
Yeah, I don't know. Well,
does the narrator give us the perspective to tell the hero's story, whoever the hero might be?
it's hard to know, isn't it?
I think it is. I think I really don't want the answer to be there is no one true hero. But it's becoming more and more likely because I can't make the case that it's any of the hobbits specifically.
But why? Okay, so let's revisit. So why can't it be Frodo?
Is it just because it doesn't feel like it's Frodo?
Is it because he fails at the end?
Is it because he fails at the end? But because I don't think he overcomes his personal struggle, I guess is the point.
He doesn't. No, he doesn't.
It's that failure. He's almost changed by his failure, not his success. He doesn't have his third act turn.
Well, it's a bit of an Una reverse card, isn't it? Because I think everyone's thinking, oh, this is going to be so great when he finally throws that ring into the fire and
lifts that weight from around his neck. Yeah.
And then he can't do it. And everyone's like, what? But it's why you need Sam there, and in fact, it's also why Sam is there because, from a fate's argument, as you said, it's just how Arrow intended
someone's
it
going
to
to
happen.
push Frodo over the edge, and if it's not Gollum, it's got to be Sam.
Yeah, so you can't. I don't think you can call either Frodo or Sam. Can you call Sam the hero of the Lord of the Rings?
I don't like it.
Can you be a hero if you haven't really had an arc?
If you don't have a crisis of character, essentially, can you be a hero?
He's sort of in the same category as Gandalf in that respect, isn't he?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Gandalf changes more, if anything.
Yeah, he is. Sam is just a hobbit Gandalf. I like that analysis.
Sam is just the hobbit Gandalf. You heard it here first.
Am I just misremembering? Is Sam more changed by the experience? Does he struggle more?
He struggles with, well, because he doesn't really struggle with anything. When he thinks Frodo is dead, he sort of takes up the mantle.
So I guess I'm going to do it.
And then he also hands it back again instantly.
It's that handing back that I think is sort of both Sam's best and worst argument to be the hero. Because that's almost the single greatest act we see of anyone in Lord of the Rings. the handing back of the ring that close to the source of its power when its influence is so strong. It's just like, oh yeah, here you go, boss.
You know what else, actually? Doesn't Galadriel hand him a Malorn tree seed?
Yes.
Which he then plants in the Shire. That's a level of respect that's,
Yeah, but that's respect. That's not...
Yeah, but Galadriel will recognize who the real hero is, right?
Be less keen on the elves.
You're the one who's tried to make the case for Galadriel.
No, I just said we needed to talk about it.
I'm not having that.
I just said we needed to talk about it.
No. Okay, well let's put a pin. Let's put a pin in Frodo and Sam.
Okay.
What are you saying?
I was going to say, what specifically is the significance of a Malorn trait being given, other than we should trust Galadriel's judgment?
Well, in the context of the elves are going to leave behind Middle Earth, and she's entrusting, something that is just sort of their lifeblood, right? Especially those elves. She's entrusting that to Sam Gamgee.
Yeah, but they're leaving, so what does she care? It's just a nice tree.
You're a real idiot sometimes,
I know. And I genuinely, yes, it's a mark of respect, and it's a hugely impressive gift. I don't disagree with that, but I don't think it's indicative of anything other than respect. I mean, Galadriel gives Frodo the light of a Silmaril captured in a glass vial. Like, that's a huge fucking deal.
Yeah, but that's because she knows he needs to accomplish a quest, and it's going to help him do so. That's not the same as, like, here's this thing that you're going to eventually plant where you've returned from your adventure that I know you will survive.
But maybe that's all that Sam needs to be confident he will survive, is someone telling him he will.
Maybe.
I don't.
But I also think that Galadriel was fully expecting Frodo to jump into the fire, or to be, like, thrown in.
You think?
I'm not convinced that she ever thought he would be back.
That's entirely possible. That's entirely possible, actually. I certainly think that Gandalf wasn't expecting him to make it out alive.
See, now I come back. I just, insofar as Frodo and Sam feel like obvious choices, I can't quite commit to it. I'm still like Gandalf, as a shout for hero. But I also don't like it.
What about Aragorn, then?
What about Aragorn? Another obvious one, but the issue with Aragorn is that he doesn't get the ring to Mount Doom.
No, but...
He said he plays no part in that struggle.
Well, not no part, because he marches the armies of the West against the Black Gate, pulling the orcs out and clearing the path.
Of course, but it requires someone of hero caliber to actually perform the act of carrying the ring.
It does. It does, that's true.
But I equally agree with you that Aragorn's quest is completely instrumental in actually achieving the overall aim. Which forces me to, unless we're going to say Gandalf, because he's sort of the mastermind behind all of it. The best I think I can do for you is that the hero of the Lord of the Rings is, in fact, at least Frodo and Sam and Aragorn, with outside shouts for Merry and Pippin.
I think there are outside shouts for Merry and Pippin, but I think they're too tangential to the core storyline.
It's another example of obvious heroes.
They're clearly heroes at the heroes of their arcs, if you like, but they're not the heroes of the overarching story. I think that's true.
Because I think the two of them serve to really, really drive home the point of you can be like the most mundane, slightly troublemaker teenage hobbit, and still be a Thane of Gondor.
Heroism is the choices that we make.
Exactly.
Is the message there, which is a very powerful message.
It is, and they're instrumental in
the War of the Ring.
Yeah, and the freeing of the Shire.
Well, I sort of don't I know everyone thinks that the scouring of the Shire is a big deal, and to an extent it is. But I almost think that the point of the scouring of the Shire is to show us how changed Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin are by the experience of their journey in terms of.
Well, entirely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure, that's the only point it serves. It's just they've come back, and now it's like there's one final test in a lesser evil in Saruman.
And that we will just absolutely shit on you, mate. Don't worry about it.
Because we have become heroes, and we can, mobilize our own people to fight off this threat.
So, is the answer just all 4 hobbits?
Plus Aragorn. I think there's no scenario in which I can't have Aragorn as a hero, as like an instrumental hero.
You can't have more than half the Fellowship, I think, is my problem.
Okay, fine. If you want me to pick Gandalf. You don't like that either, do you?
No. I just had a small fit.
Well, you tell me then. Who is the hero of the Lord of the Rings? Man, I'm really struggling to say it. The Lord of the Rings.
It's not flowing off the tongue. Who is the hero? I think it has to be Aragorn. Because he does everything right.
But has no...
But does he have...
arc?
He has no arc.
Well, I mean, he does. Maybe we're just being unfair, right? Because he still suffers hardships.
He has a much smaller arc, I guess. He couldn't go back to Rivendell and go back to being Estelle.
Yeah, he effectively single-handedly revives an entire line of kings, right?
Yeah,
restores them.
I think we're being almost too. I'm being almost too literal about what a heroic arc is. I think Aragorn's arc in Fellowship, from Ranger in the Wilderness to High King of Gondor, is a heroic arc.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, as well, this is the man who enlisted in the service of, is it Thengel, right? Theoden's father. Just as a sort of ranger. And then when he steps foot in Edoras the next time, he literally proclaims himself and shows off Narsil, like an Anduril at that point.
Yeah.
And is like, yeah, I'm back, and I mean business now.
It's a very much, I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum.
Yeah. Are we being unfair? Maybe Aragorn just makes his struggle look too easy. But it's still a struggle.
That might be actually right. The Aragorn struggle, because we're very seldom inside his head. We don't see his struggle in the same way as we see Frodo's or Sam's. But I think he has. If we can only pick one, I think it has to be him.
I so want to agree with you for once, but I can't.
No.
And it's not because you've said something idiotic for once. That's not it.
It just doesn't feel right.
I just feel you're ignoring half the storyline, which is happening geographically elsewhere.
Which I think comes round to this. Maybe there isn't one hero. Maybe the Lord of the Rings is a complicated enough narrative that the answer is there are too many plots for just one hero. There is no unifying plot. There's no unifying person who pulls all the threads together at the end.
Is that, or is Gandalf?
Or it's Gandalf. I'm not having Gandalf.
But let's be real about this, right? Gandalf shows up sometime in the Third Age, and for thousands of years labors to undo the effect of Sauron.
Sure.
And then he does that. He's more or less the last character we ever see. Sam, Merry, and Pippin being exceptions. But with Gandalf leaving Middle Earth, the story ends. The saga of the rings ends there.
But he's
Oh man.
just the hand of God. He's just Deus Ex Machina made flesh.
Maybe it's the elven rings that are the heroes. I don't know anymore. Because when they leave, the story's over.
But also when Frodo leaves, the story's over.
Also when Frodo leaves, the story's over.
And Bilbo. I'm gonna be definitive and say that definitively it's not a question that we can answer.
No. Well, I think your previous conclusion was correct. It's a story that requires many heroes for it to work.
Aragorn is the hero of his arc. And he's also the hero of like Legolas and Gimli's plots. That whole plot about the Fellowship up to the Falls of Rauros, and then the hunt, and then the trip to Minas Tirith, and all of that via Helm's Deep. That's Aragorn. He's the hero, no question. And then the Ring Bearer's story, I guess it's probably Frodo, but I don't like it. But and then the bit up to Rauros, it's probably Boromir, because he's the one who's showing them up. It's almost too good a story. I think that's the problem. It's too deep and it's too complicated and it's too connected, but also not connected. That boiling it down to this person is the hero is just a fool's errand.
Yeah. I think on that conclusion.
Yeah, I think that's my conclusion.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I can't disagree with you as much as I would like to. But I guess it does open up a series to us. Do fantasy stories need heroes, singular heroes, or do they in fact more often have collectives who together, do the thing? I should be a writer, verbal skills
collectively
like
that. Do the
thing. And then they did the thing and everyone was happy.
And then. You see, if you'd asked me that before we started, I would have said yes, absolutely. A staple of the fantasy genre is a defined and recognizable hero.
But is that true?
I don't know what.
I'm trying to think of where that's actually the case.
I know, this is what
even where there's a hero in the title, like Harry Potter and there's so many cases to be made for him not being the hero. Or not the sole hero.
I think Harry is the hero of Harry Potter.
No, obviously not.
Well, we've got our next. Who is the hero?
Who is the hero of Harry Potter?
Yeah, I'm broken.
Which is different to Harry in the Dresden Files, who obviously is the hero. But I think there's a narrator icon there. Well, I mean, let us know if you think that we're right, that the Lord of the Rings essentially has no one hero.
Yeah, I'm genuinely curious to hear what people have to say on this, because I know it's a topic that does the rounds on social media fairly frequently, and there's lots of...
What? We're definitely the first to have asked this question.
Oh, sorry. Are we? I say that about everything without ever actually checking.
No, it's brand new.
Oh. Look at us being novel and interesting. Idiot.
Fair. But let us know that, and then also let us know if you would like us to do a series on who is the hero of, and as well answer the big question: do fantasy stories need heroes?
I think all that remains is to say thanks for listening to this episode of Expertise is Overrated. No doubt we've said some things that were either objectively wrong or downright offensive. As ever, feel free to let us know. Rate the podcast and leave us a comment, or drop us an email at expertiseisoverrated@gmail.com. Tweet us at 0expertise. Check out our website, expertiseisoverrated.podbean.com, or come join us on our Discord server.
If you're lucky, we might just argue with you in one of our upcoming episodes. If you're really lucky, we might call you an idiot. Come back next time for some more absolute nonsense.